American Military University proudly presents Mission San Diego Military, produced by the San Diego Military Advisory Council and Cloudcast Media. San Diego is America's finest military city. From the Marines and Navy to the Coast Guard and Naval Special Warfare, San Diego is a proud military town. Mission San Diego Military will help you better understand how the San Diego military leads, innovates, and cares for community and country. Mission San Diego Military, co-hosted by the CEO of the San Diego Military Advisory Council, retired Rear Admiral David Boone, and Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media, begins right now.
I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media and co-host of Mission San Diego Military, a podcast series generously sponsored by American Military University, a leader in educating our military and their families since 1993. My co-host is David Boone, President and CEO of the San Diego Military Advisory Council, better known as SDMAC. David is a retired Navy Rear Admiral, and Mission San Diego Military Podcast Series is produced by Cloudcast Media. And as our tradition, I leave it up to the Admiral to introduce our guest. David, all yours.
Well, hello, Drew.
Good to see you, David. How are you?
Good to be here. So thank you for that. We have a great guest that's partnered with SDMAC and Tom Penn. Tom is the president and CEO of the San Diego Football Club, which, as a lot of people know, had their inaugural season last year, and it was a great season. Made it into the playoffs, and I had the great fortune of attending a number of the games, and they were very exciting. And here we are in the middle of the World Cup, right? So
very appropriate.
The timing is great. So. Tom is advancing the football culture here in San Diego, and when you hear from him, what's impressive about how he's thinking about things is how he weaves the football business into the culture of San Diego and the military, both in terms of how it's represented and how he's thinking about the reaching out into the community. So I want him to share some of that with our audience.
Good. Tom, so fire away.
Yeah.
Fire away. All right. It's great to be with you all. We love anything military related. We love our partnership and affiliation with your great organization, and thank you for your service.
I appreciate that.
It was a real privilege to get to speak at the breakfast last month or so and share a little bit of how SDFC partners with the military in a number of different ways. We could chat about that. But then also, you alluded to it, we're new. We sprung into existence here in San Diego, and we're San Diego Football Club. So we use the noun club, not franchise, in professional soccer, because that's sort of a global language that's used, in part because so many of these big clubs in the world that have been around forever were just that, started as recreational clubs in their neighborhood, in their countries, and then or in their cities, and then Chelsea and Man United and Real Madrid and Barcelona and so on, they just grew this professional arm of their club. So you come back to that word club and this idea that you can be invited in and be a part of it, and it's a different sort of approach, but was a major challenge in how to start a new club in San Diego, for San Diego, by San Diego. How do you do that? And it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, so I'm going to back up even a little bit on this. Always interested in football or soccer, as they say.
Me?
Yes.
I was primarily interested in basketball, so I started in the basketball world and, wanted to be in pro basketball when I graduated from law school, and struck out and still have the box of rejection letters at home. My mom actually found it, showed it to me, and say to all the young kids, you'd write a letter and then you'd wait and get a letter back. So I kept all those letters. And then after being a criminal defense attorney for years, I got lucky. A billionaire sort of fell from the sky. And I was active in and around basketball as an agent, so I went in to become the helped a billionaire acquire the Vancouver Grizzlies basketball team.
Yeah.
And I went in as assistant general manager in basketball operations. We moved the team to Memphis. I got to work with Jerry West for 5 years in Memphis, which was really cool. Went to the Trailblazers and then left the Trailblazers and had an opportunity to get into soccer because we identified Los Angeles as the place to start a new team. And I had some foreign investors, and we launched a club that became LAFC, Los Angeles Football Club. And then during COVID, I sort of pivoted away from that, set my sights on San Diego. This would be perfect down here, and that's how I got here. So I've been now in the Major League Soccer world since the pursuit began of LAFC, or since we launched LAFC in 2014. So I'm 12 years in.
Yeah, and obviously a natural to connect with the military, the largest military port in the country, with our Navy, the Marines, and the Coast Guard. Do have a smattering of Army and Air Force, floating around as well on this. And as you know, with your connection with SDMAC, you cannot turn around and see the impact of the military. In our region, we talk about it quite a bit. Not short of the $70 billion in indirect spending due to the military, and $39 billion of direct. And so you've embraced it just beautifully. Did you work with the military at all when you were up in the LAFC?
A little bit. In any pro sports organization has this chance to do what I would call good and normal sort of programming with military folks, shine a light on the hero of the match and those sorts of things, or the military member of the match, and do some ticket exchanges and giveaways and really try to feature local military families. We did that in Memphis when we had the Memphis Grizzlies, but there's no place it's more relevant than here. And our approach, and it was interesting because our project, our club is co-owned by the Sequan Band of the Kumeyaay Nation, who, of course, they totally get it. Many of their members have served in the military, and they understand deeply.
And they're one of our partners.
Exactly.
Sequan. Yeah.
And you can't get more local than Sequan.
Yeah.
They've been here 12,000 years.
Right, exactly.
But then
the epitome of local. Yeah.
Then Mohammed Mansour, who's been knighted by King Charles, so Sir Mohammed Mansour is the other joint venture partner on this, and he has great understanding of the military. But the organization we partnered with, Right to Dream, their leadership at the time were European, so it was a different sort of perspective, and there was a different. We had to educate them as to just how important San Diego military, or how the military is to this community. And then they, once they heard and understood and they were curious, they were like, oh, wow, I get it. So, you can't build a club for this community without some real engagement with all the military, not all, but, each aspect of the military, both current and then the retired community that's here. And because there seems to be a number of you guys that just kind of came through San Diego and decided, I think I'd prefer to stay here.
Kind of like this place. Yeah. Can you talk about some of your outreach initiatives with military and veteran community? There's a number of them, and you briefed it at the breakfast. And I thought they're really great for not just for the military community, but for the whole community to see when San Diego FC does showcase the military.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, can I go back to the formation first?
Please.
Yeah, please do.
We talk to all aspects of the community on explain San Diego to us. What does San Diego mean? What are the unique offerings of San Diego? And we could talk more about what we learned there. But in those groups that we talked to, we, of course, included significant military voices, both those currently serving or retired. So they had an active voice and presence in the discussion of what does San Diego really mean, along with folks from Chula Vista, along with folks from North County and South Bay and so on and so forth. I mean, we were just all over the whole county. Then we decided we wanted to do something unique in sports, and that was from the ownership level down, partner with somebody from the military. And so we approached and spoke with Jocko Willink, and Jocko did step up and is a partner, right? So he's an investor in the team. I've gotten to know him really well because we sort of sit in the same area, and he's a San Diego fan, and he's become a huge San Diego FC fan, right? It's not like soccer's in his blood. He's big into martial arts and other stuff. But he's fallen in love with the game. So from the beginning, we wanted to have this connective tissue with the military community, including at the ownership level. And that's been really interesting to have him in our discussions, and we get to learn from him and so on and so forth. To your question of what do we do activity-wise, I'd put it in 3 big buckets. The first one would be all kinds of stuff around game day, right? So during the match, when we do our Hero of the Match feature, when we do ticket giveaways or ticket exchange, and we do sell a bunch of discounted tickets through our partner at GovX and so on and so forth, we'll have a military appreciation night coming in November where the whole night is about that, right? And each aspect of our game presentation will have some military flair or feel and a good giveaway item and so on. We have a pregame fan fest that we do, and it's a nice platform for various military folks to perform at times, to have their presence, to do some recruiting. We've done oath of enlistment ceremonies at and around our matches. So just all these different layers and textures around match day. The second pillar is just what you'd call relationship work, personnel exchanges. We do those regularly, where you'll take a subset of our specialists and combine with a similar specialty with a military unit here. So our human performance, the folks that take care of our players, our high performance, we're doing exchanges and learning. We just had one with our stadium operations, our logistics crew, going on base and trying to learn and compare. And then we're going to invite to our location to see how we turn that stadium over between our match and the Wave, right? Heck, our whole exec team, me excluded, flew out to the Lincoln overnight. And rode, did a carrier visit and exchange. So I could go on and on about those sorts of just quality relationship building and us sharing our story and learning and then being able to talk authoritatively within our circles about our connection to the military. And then the third prong would just be quality of life, quality of service affiliations. Working with the YMCA, working with others who have existing programs to support military families, some who might be struggling. We donate money, we donate gear, we have special ways to try to bring joy into their lives, make life better, and so on, because it can be tough. So that's an overview.
Yeah. And I know it's deep. I'd be interested, your executive team, as you've interacted with military and military-affiliated organizations, do you come away with some themes that you otherwise wouldn't have come away with? What do you learn from that in your interaction with those kinds of organizations, or flying out to the Lincoln and watch air operations at sea? I mean, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, look, there's a couple different elements. One, we're in professional sports, so we're about high performance, right? And we're about competing. And there are certain aspects of the military that are so high performing because it's life or death and are unquestionably the best. And if you're a Blue Angel pilot, a bad day of practice is a bad day, period, right?
Yeah.
So, how do you get to that level of precision, that level of excellence? So if we do something with the Navy SEALs, for example, you're just in awe that it's best of the best, and that's what we're aspiring to do. So there's a certain element of elite performance, high performing. Then there's just the aspect of being best what you can be best at. And this idea of toughness and competitiveness and just delivering day in and day out. And what I'm always struck by in any military situation is, and I'm always reminded of it, is just how often you all change jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, you rotate out, what, every 2 years?
2 or 3 years. Yeah.
2, 3 years. You're if you're great, you move on. If you're not, everybody moves.
Yeah.
And so this idea of being versatile and rolling with the punches and absorbing change and performing no matter what the circumstance, that's unusual in any kind of corporate setting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's important because, life changes.
My first PCS, when I came back to stateside, we were so stressed out. Everything was just thrown at us. And I wish I could just go back and tell past me, like, hey, it's going to be fine. Go with the flow.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media and co-host of Mission San Diego Military podcast series, generously sponsored by American Military University, a leader in educating our military and their families since 1993. Honored to have as my co-host David Boone, President and CEO of the San Diego Military Advisory Council. Our Mission San Diego Military podcast is brought to you by Cloudcast Media. Honored to have Tom Penn, CEO of SDFC, in the house with us today. You were talking about relationships, of course, and then you're learning logistics from whomever, whatever the case may be, and how do you apply it for SDFC. But obviously you guys hit the ground running very, very successfully. You were embraced by the community real fast, so kudos to you guys. That was very purposeful, as we well know, in that aspect of it. Who are some of the groups? You mentioned Sequan, that also works closely with SDMAC, and we talked a little bit about National University and that are near and dear to David's heart and mine. Who else do you folks work with pretty closely?
At the corporate level?
Yeah.
California Bank and Trust is right there with us. DirecTV is on the front of our shirts. Adriana's Insurance, we partner with her now. She's on the sleeve. She's a force of nature. And a number of other local folks. I mean, we've just had such great partnerships and such great lean-in from the corporate community, number one. We were very purposeful in how we tried to identify this club. So that really started with Cody Martinez, who's the chairman of Sequan. Because when we realized we had this team, he just said to me, I'll never forget it. He said, Tom, build a club for all of San Diego. And when I say that, don't build it just for the outsider's view of San Diego. Don't build it just for the beach or just for downtown. He's like, I grew up in El Cajon, and we love the Chargers out here, and we're all over this part of the county in East County, and build it for the South Bay and so on. And I thought, and that was really informative. So we wanted to be a club for the whole county. And the way we declared that was when we launched the club, and the commissioner was here to say San Diego, or that we won the bid. We had a big, giant, reflective chrome ball sitting there right on the stage that had all 18 cities in San Diego County printed on the ball. And we declared we were going to put that ball on a trailer and take it to each of the cities so you could reflectively see yourself in our club. And we did that. It was called the Chrome Ball Tour, and we went to all 18 cities in the county, and it was symbolic, but it was also very meaningful because we activated in each of those communities with an artist or artists. So the art community combined with youth, combined with a soccer tournament, combined with sort of a festival. And it was awesome. It was a really cool way to get to know the entire county for those of us that weren't from here, but for them to feel like we could be here for them, that we did represent them.
Leading up to that, as you presented at our breakfast, you had a slide on a handful of words that represent
the virtues.
The virtues. And I thought that was fascinating. Could you share that with the audience here?
Yeah, so when we came, those of us that were in management doing the work are not from here. And I was coming from Los Angeles, and I knew this was a different place, and it didn't take me long to hear how we're different. But what we did, even before we announced the club, we set out to get to know the community, and we did 60-some focus groups. We talked to hundreds of people. We sent out surveys, but it was all those in-person interactions where it was like a workshop where you say, tell us about San Diego, feed this back. So people are feeding back what local San Diegans say San Diego is. And you guys know it's kind of a complex and very diverse place. So we came up with these virtues that were fed back to us. The first one was real gratitude. People are just grateful to live here. They kind of know how great they got it. You know, they know how beautiful it is, how great the weather is, you know, don't tell anybody, that whole thing. But there's at its core with that, everybody's like, wow, are we lucky? And you don't get that in Philadelphia. There you are. The second was the real embracing of diversity, that this is such a diverse place of people and places and lifestyles, and that they're all welcome, but they're all part of San Diego. And that's what is kind of our superpower. And of course, the binational nature of things, nobody gets that until you actually live here. I was sort of stunned once I was down here to learn just how binational we are. The next one was quiet confidence. This place is proud, not loud. And then everybody sort of leans in and says, we're not LA. Right? Everybody's nodding and grinning. It's like there's a little bit of, we're different than that up there. We're distinct, we're different, and we're quietly getting good stuff done. And with that quiet confidence is this commitment to innovation and being on the cutting edge. And that's where, coming back to military, you're like, the best of the best is happening here. And then you put biotech and life science and all the patents that come out of San Diego County. It's like tops in the country on a per capita basis. So you put those three things together, then the word flow came out of it. And I remembered Seb, who was leading this effort, came to me and he said, man, we just heard this word again. I said, what's the word? He said, well, they just talked about flow. I said, flow? What do you mean? He's like, I don't know. Everybody keeps talking about like the flow of life down here, like the unique rhythm of life. But then there's also like the flow state, and be it a, which is a great athletic term when you're in flow state, you're peak performing. And we thought that's really cool. So that became the core of our identity. The symbol that's in our crest is the flow, and it's 18 lines woven into one that represent the 18 communities of San Diego County. But it's also just a representation of those virtues I talked about.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking earlier about the experience for the fans, and we all know if you don't have the fans, you can have everything you want, but you got to get people into your seats, and you guys did a great job doing that. Talk about the fan experience and what you folks have done to try to brand yourself, maybe different than other places, or maybe not.
Well, soccer is very different culturally. We're seeing the World Cup right now. Right. It's taken over. We're on break because this is such a special event. And you see all these watch parties going on, which we do every day at Mission Beach. We got a killer always-on watch party happening. And what you see are these avid fans that in the soccer world are called supporters. Now, supporters are different. They pledge their allegiance, they come together, they organize, and they're given special privileges to do that. So our supporter group is a unification of 6 different groups that pledge their allegiance, and they formed a union called Frontera SD, and embracing the fact that we live on the border. And they get to bring flags and smoke, and we have this special section behind the goal where there's no seats. The seats lock in place because they say they'll stand on them and break them, which is true. And then there's a safe standing mechanism so they don't fall. So there's big railings put in there for safety. And then that is the cauldron, that is the furnace, that is what cranks our entire game day atmosphere. And it's what you'll remember when you show up. You won't remember whether we won or lost or who we played. You're going to remember that those supporters in the end zone sang the entire match.
They are relentless. They don't stop. It's unbelievable.
The most common question I get asked is, how much do you pay those guys to do that? And I'm like, no, they bought a ticket.
That's right.
And then they throw beers at every goal, smoke at every goal, and it's all done in cooperation with the club because you and I can't go in with flags and wave them around if we go to a regular match.
That's right.
But Frontera SD is the heart and soul of our game day experience, and then they're a force of nature out in the community as well. There's a military group that is in the Frontera, right? So one of the subgroups in there, the 18th Battalion, they're awesome, and it's a core group of military folks that have put together a real vocal group.
Yeah, I won't denigrate it by calling it the black hole. So of the Oakland Raiders or the Las Vegas Raiders now and all that aspect of it. Is there a waiting list to get in Frontera?
No, I mean you have to be a member of Frontera,
right?
We're sold out now on season tickets in that area.
I was going to say
there's still single game tickets, but they get distributed primarily through those groups, so that they have their people in there. And the other thing is, like, you don't want to go buy a ticket there because you might be a little surprised at what's going on. It might not be what you bargained for.
I'm from L.A., Tom. I'm not surprised about anything in this world. One of the things, and David and I have talked about it, if I've learned anything from working with SDMAC over the years, is that the military serves twice. They, do things to protect us on our soil and abroad, but they're also engaged in the communities, and we talked about that a little bit. They're coaches, they're on boards, they're on community groups, and obviously embraced by the community. Same thing with SDFC folks, the teammates, the administration. They're out in the community doing things as well. I imagine they are.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we want to follow that lead. It's interesting because that commitment to service is kind of a uniquely American thing at the scale that it's at and the level of charitable giving that goes on. I mean, we're just such a generous nation. And I've had a lot of engagement with foreign investors in the soccer world, and they're all just, they keep reminding me just how unique America is that way. So that's certainly a primary aspect of what we demand and ask for from all of our employees. But they gladly do it. We're in a high leverage business. People care. So if SDFC shows up, it sort of means something. But to me, there's no service like the military community service. I mean, in terms of their first service and their commitment to second service, they're built different and created different. And we're lucky. We're so lucky. And it's not lost on us at all that this ability to have such the quality of life and be able to play games for a living the way we do is because of the safety and security that our military ensures on home soil and throughout the world.
He's got a guy on his staff named Russ Thompson. He's a retired Navy captain. And Russ and I have collaborated many times. And although he's representing San Diego FC, he thinks about it through the lens of service to the community. That's his passion. And so I think he's a great representative of your organization to do those things.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Russ because I promised that I wouldn't because he doesn't like it. But he's a superstar, and he's the connective tissue. Yeah. And, it's interesting when you were asking about what we've learned and that sort of thing. The truth is, I don't know because so many of these engagements are happening 4-on-4, 2-on-2, real connective moments, and they're learning things that are really helping them in the trenches, and I'm sure vice versa. So we just want to keep living that so that we can earn the trust and respect of this community and ultimately weave our way into the fabric of greater San Diego.
Another part of what San Diego FC is about is probably something that a lot of people don't know, and that's the right to dream, which I think is phenomenal. Would you spend some time talking about that for our audience?
So our organization is part of the Right to Dream community or Right to Dream family of youth academies and professional clubs around the world. Right to Dream was founded in Ghana 26 years ago as a youth system to help give children in Ghana the opportunity to learn how to play football and then progress directly into the pros or go on to college in America on scholarship, prep school and college. Right to Dream then grew from their success in Ghana up to Denmark, of all places, and acquired another team and blended 2 youth academies and 2 teams, and a new professional team in Denmark, boys and girls. Then Mr. Mansour came and acquired Right to Dream, became the chairman, and said, I want to do this in Cairo. So he built a state-of-the-art academy in Cairo and added a professional men's and women's team to that, and said, Mr. Mansour said, take this to America. America gets this. So he was on the hunt for an opportunity and landed in San Diego in partnership with Sequan. So out on the Sequan Tribal Reservation, we've built our Right to Dream Academy. It's on the old Singing Hills Golf Course, the par 3. We took 9 of those holes on the par 3 and built 5 gorgeous fields. And then we built a state-of-the-art 50,000 square foot training facility for our youth academy and for our first team. And then we took over the Singing Hills Resort that was out there. And it's a residential youth academy with a school. So the best 11, 12-year-old boys in this region and some from around the country were there this year learning. We had 18 boys, a couple of them from in Mexico, bunch from our community, some from like Las Vegas or Inland Empire. And now we're going from 18 up to about 50 or 60? 50.
Wow.
Because we're adding another group below, another group of young boys. So the 6th graders become 7th graders. We bring in more 6th graders. And then we were having so much success that the nation was asking for a 16 and under team. So we're bringing in a bunch of super talented 16-year-olds that you will see soon on the first team, because some of those kids will advance quickly and be signed. And then the 11 and 12-year-olds continue growing up. Now, those kids that we have are all being taught the same thing, the same style of play in Ghana, in Denmark, in Egypt, and right out there in El Cajon, so that when you mix them together, they all play the same way, like they've been playing together. And that gives you this cohesion and this opportunity to really focus on their skills and talent. And because Right to Dream is fully immersive 24/7, you're able to see world-class players that are going to be produced because they've done it in Ghana and Egypt, Denmark, and we're doing it now. And, oh, by the way, it's all free. We cover all the costs for all of what I just described.
Wow.
Yeah, that is just unbelievably impressive. We're chatting with Tom Penn. He's the CEO of SDFC. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media and co-host of Mission San Diego Military podcast series, generously sponsored by American Military University, with my co-host David Boone, President and CEO of SDMAC. So we always save some time at the end, Tom, to ask you and our guests, what can our listeners do to continue to support the great work that you're doing, in this case at SDFC?
Come on out. Come on out to a match. I know a lot of folks aren't naturally massive soccer fans, and we have so much else to do here in America, right? The rest of the world, that's the one and only. And here, man, between the NBA finals, the NHL finals, all the college stuff, it's endless. I didn't even say the NFL, right?
Right.
So if soccer's not your first love, but you love San Diego, come on out to Snapdragon Stadium, because it's just a civic celebration. And you're going to see the supporters roar. You're going to hear the supporters roaring in the end zone, and you'll see a very pleasing sports product that'll get you excited.
Well, as I was mentioning, Dave, before you got in here, my daughter and her now husband.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Just got married on Saturday, so it was a pretty big deal. Thank you.
You were out of town.
Yeah. But they went, and the fan experience they just loved. And so, and everybody I know that has gone to a soccer match says the same thing on that. And when you have people that, whether it's their first soccer match or it's their 450th, that's quite a deal. Tom, thanks so much for spending time with us. We really appreciate it. You guys have just absolutely killed it and will continue to kill it. This episode should air while the World Cup is still going on, so that'll keep some excitement on it and encourage all of our listeners to go to a soccer match.
Yeah, we've got a First Match on Us campaign that's going to come for those that haven't been before. And, we're going to roar out of the World Cup with a super busy end of July and all of August. It's going to be a really exciting time.
Yeah, shout out that website if you could.
Yeah, it's, at sandiegofc.com. Just go there. Yeah. So sandiegofc.com and then you'll see some exciting times coming for this blitz of games. So it's this. If you like that, come see this. Because we're going to see the continued momentum around the World Cup, and then coming right out of that, there's this local expression of the game that's really good right here in San Diego.
That's good. David, as always, enjoy having you as my co-host, Tom Penn, CEO of SDFC. Nothing but great success moving forward. And to our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Mission San Diego Military, presented by American Military University, an educational leader for active duty military, veterans, and their families. Mission San Diego Military is produced by the San Diego Military Advisory Council in partnership with Cloudcast Media, the national leader in local podcasting. We're sure you learned quite a bit about why San Diego is America's finest military city. Please like, subscribe, and share the show.
Cloudcast Media.